nothing will change until the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing. The reason that most people, and I do truly mean most people, will never, ever step outside of their comfort zone, outside of where they're at, will step up and honestly make a true change is because even if it's only a really, really small percentage of yourself, but you believe that this is okay, that this is enough, that it's all right, that where you're currently at is acceptable-ish. So therefore you won't change. And I find in most cases, in probably the majority of cases, that people have convinced themselves of these facts. That, they've convinced themselves that life is okay, that it's not that bad, that they aren't that unhappy, that they aren't that disgusted with themselves, that they aren't that miserable, that, this is just life, this is what everybody has. Well, no, it's what the majority have, but it doesn't mean that has to be your life. Just because the majority and the average have that life does not mean that that has to be your life. That does not mean that has to be your reality. No, you can make a definitive choice. You can make a definitive change to be better, to live a better life. But for as long as that pain stays that level, stays stationary, you won't ever change. You will never step up and change because, you have to make sacrifices. You have to make decisions, and it's going to cost you something. Whether that's time, money, effort, sacrificing things that you're currently doing, sacrificing instant gratification. You will have to sacrifice something. You will have to give up something, or it'll cost something to be a better version, to step into your highest version. There is always a price attached to it. But there is also a price attached to not changing. And I think if we start to calculate the cost of staying the same versus the cost of becoming the greatest version of ourselves, we will quickly discover that the cost of not changing, of not making a decision, of not stepping up to be the best version of yourself is so much greater, is astronomically greater than the cost of becoming the man that you know you should be, of stepping into who you know you can and should be. But most people, and I do mean most, don't ever want to admit that. They don't want to talk about that. They don't ever want to come across that and face that reality. But I bring it back to maybe like taking out a loan, okay? So if you take out a loan, let's say it's a loan shark, for example, and you pay it back within a month, there is minimal cost on top of that. But if you go, I'm not going to pay it back this month, and the next month, and the next month, and the next month, the cost that you're incurring for kicking it down the line, the longer you kick it down the line, the worse it's going to be. The greater the cost is going to be. The more it's going to fucking hurt because you couldn't do what was required here and now to get it done. And this applies to all things in life. I know very specifically a friend of mine who is going to bring this up for me because it applies to absolutely fucking everything. Not just health and fitness, not just being in great shape, not just discipline and pushing forward. It applies to business, it applies to life choices, it applies to money, it applies to finances, it applies to everything. There is a cost of not sacrificing now for the future. And you must weigh up and be honest and deliberately and consciously make decisions about what matters most to you. And I will stand by this. I will not understand, but I will accept when people are like, I've made a decision and this is what I'm choosing. If you choose to stay in mediocrity, if you choose to continue the life that you currently have because you're quote unquote happy with it, fantastic. Then own it, as long as you own the decision. What gets me is when people have their head in the sand, that they want to kick it down the line until it's such a mammoth fucking problem that it takes extreme action to address it. It takes extreme life-altering choices to address it. And worse again than if you go, well, I'm just going to do this for the short term. There is a prominent male in my life, and I will not name him specifically, but if he listens to this, he'll know who he is, that has finally, after decades, decided that now they are ready to make a change because the pain is so great. The pain of where they are now is so great that they're willing to do whatever it takes. And so instead of dealing with it when it wasn't a big deal, it's now we are in a rush. We are at the forefront and it's fucking all in. And considering how great this shift is, I have great concerns whether they will actually be able to follow through. I am hoping and praying that they have enough discipline and fortitude to actually follow through and do what is required. But I have my doubts. I honestly have my doubts that they'll be able to follow through on this. And this is the problem when we are accepting where we are. I think we should always be pushing for more. We should always strive for better. It's an Ed Milet one, and I fucking love it. It's called Blissful Dissatisfaction. And it's this concept of I can be happy and love where I am at and be grateful and appreciative of how much I have achieved in this life and where I am currently at in this life. There is nothing wrong with being happy and appreciative and grateful of all the blessings you have in your life. And I am one of them. Like, my life is truly fantastic. Like, I have the two most incredible children under the sun, and I am blessed every single day to have them and be a pivotal part and be able to spend large majorities of my time with them, loving them, looking after them and helping them grow and watching them develop into beautiful humans. I have an incredible wife who loves and adores me and supports me and uplifts me. And, I have been blessed beyond all measure to have her as my best friend. I have great friends who support me and understand me and continue to push me forward. I am blessed. I have an incredible business. I have the opportunity to do this, to be here talking to you. I have the incredible blessing to choose every single day to chase greatness, to be the best version of myself. I am incredibly blessed beyond all measure, beyond any right. And it is fucking amazing. And yet, I am dissatisfied with that. It doesn't mean that I am not appreciative of all those things, but I can look at my body and go, I want more, I want better. I can look at my business and go, I want more, I want better. I can look at areas of my life and go, I want more, I want better. It doesn't mean that I am not grateful for the incredible life that I am blessed with. It does not mean that I don't appreciate everything that has been bestowed upon me. It doesn't mean any of that. But I can then go, I am blissfully dissatisfied. I am blissfully happy with the incredible life and dissatisfied with it enough to continue pushing forward. And I think that is where we need to get to. I think that is what is required, that we must find these ways to push forward, that we must find a way to dig deep and make the choices and sacrifice for change now before it becomes so great. Before the pain becomes so monumental that we're like, fuck, I have to do whatever it takes. Because as I hinted at before, what I find is that people will reach that point, which is great. Whatever gets you to the point that you have to change is fantastic. But on the flip side of that, once that pain has diminished enough, they then revert back. And that's the problem with this, as I said, the prominent figure in my life, who I have been trying for fucking decades to get to change. They are looking at this as a short-term fix. I was like, let's do a 6-week program, and I've just discovered today, they're like, oh no, well I'm going away in a month, therefore I'm only going to do it for a month. And I'm like, so even when I work my fucking magic, when I give you the exact blueprint that is going to transform your health, your fitness, your life, your motivation, your discipline, I'm going to deliver this, hand deliver it, the exact program that is going to give you everything that you're asking for and so much more. You're going to turn around after a month and be like, well, that was good. Done. Move on. Back to where I was. This is the problem. This is why we must find a way to figure out blissful dissatisfaction, to be grateful for our life and still want fucking more from it. This is why we must reach for this level, because especially in fitness, too many people are going, well, I'll change for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. Fuck, we might get wild and go for 6 months. And then go, well, I'm going back to what I was doing. It is the definition of insanity that I'm going to change just enough to get out of this position and then revert back to who I was and doing exactly the same and expect a different outcome. It's insanity. No, we must learn, we must grow, we must adapt, we must have a growth mindset and realize that we aren't fixed in this position. We can change, we can become a better version of ourselves. And it must take daily commitment. It must mean winning the day, one day at a time. And I don't mean, and I've discussed this before, I don't think you can set out at the start and go, I'm going to completely change who I am forever and ever and ever. No, you must take on the, I always come back to the Alcohol Anonymous one, because I think it is and applies to everything, because we are addicted one way or another. We are addicted to the mediocrity life that we currently have. So you can't go like, I'm going to forever give up drinking, or I'm going to forever give up this version of me. No, what you can say is that I am going to win today. I am going to be the best version of myself today. And that's all you can control. We don't know what's going to come down the line. We are going to focus on today. We're going to focus on our thoughts, our habits, and our actions. And we are going to win the fucking day. And after that, we just win the next day, and the next day, and the next day. As I said the other day, I surpassed 300 days. And I didn't even realize, because I am so focused, I am so ingrained on just winning today. Did I win today? Yes, no. Make it really simple. It's cut and dry. There is no wiggle room. Did I win today? Yes, no. Good. Then how many days in a row can I fucking stack? How many wins in a row can I stack? That's where we need to get to. That's the point that will change our life. That is the point that will make the astronomical difference in our world, is just focusing on winning today. But you must, in the back of your head, have this thought process of, I am trying to make a change to become the best version of myself. I am trying to alter who I am. Not just for now, not just for 6 weeks, not just for 12 weeks, but on a long-term scale, trying to become the greatest version of myself. Because if not, you will forever be ebbing and flowing back and forth out of the past you that you don't like, that doesn't serve you, that has created a life that has created pain, that makes you uncomfortable, that has created a life that you aren't happy with, to a slightly better version of you. But if you stopping and you just continued on, if you just kept going and going and going and going and going, the momentum would stack. And you can look back 300 days or 365 days or 2 years or 5 years or whatever the fuck it is and go, holy shit, I can't believe who I used to be and who I am now. And even in smaller time frames, like I looked back after 126 days on the first phase of 126 to greatness and was like, I cannot believe the man I was. And then I did the same at the end of phase 2. which was another 126 days without exception. And I looked back at who I was at the end of phase 1 and I was like, I cannot believe who I used to be. And I'm 57, 58 days into phase 3. And I'm like, I cannot believe who I was at the end of phase 2. You just keep stacking on top of each other and you build and you build and you build and you build. But there must be a part of you that is aware that you need to make a lifelong change. Not a small change, not a short-term change, not just a change to then revert back to who you are, but a change for the better. And maybe it doesn't have to be as extreme. I would suggest that you find what fuels you and pushes you forward to be the greatest version. Thus, 126 holds the same things and it builds upon it. But even at bare minimum, if you just go, what version of me needs to be created to make the best version of myself, to make the best version of myself now, and then maybe it's slightly less extreme. As I said, I'll allow myself 10 days off every 126 days, just on the food, to eat whatever the fuck I want, as long as it's planned, as long as it's planned out and it's going to add to the quality of my life, aka is something special. It's not just, hey, I'm going to binge on a pizza and ice cream because fuck it. It's, this is a special anniversary, or this is a special moment, or maybe I just want some deeper connection with my wife today and I want to have a special meal, or my friend needs something special, so I'm going to take them out for a special dinner. Whatever that might be, it's going to be a particular special moment and you utilize that and you enjoy it. But overall, this is who I am. And I am a fit, strong, healthy man who chooses discipline and being the greatest version of myself every single day. That's who I choose to be. And those off days, those 10 days every 126, so every 4 months or so, is the exception to the rule. That's where you need to get to. Not that you revert back to who you are and stepping into the most powerful version of yourself is the exception. It's stepping back into who I used to be or habits that I used to have is the exception to the rule. When you can get to that point, when you can reach that point in your life, things start changing. You show up differently. Your life is different. How people respond to you is different. How the world and the universe responds to you is different because you've stepped into the man that you know you should be. You have become this version and you are focusing on becoming the greatest version of yourself, not kicking it down the line and waiting till the pain is so great that you have to do something drastic. Or worse yet, that the pain is so great and you decided to make a change and it's too fucking late. Wouldn't that be the worst outcome? And look, that might be 50 years down the track, but just know that if you continue down the line that you're at, where you are unhappy, there is gonna come a point where that price is so high and you might not be able to backtrack it. It might be too fucking late. It might be that you have gone too far and now you cannot fix the situation. And what then? And what then? So choose blissful dissatisfaction now. Don't wait till that pain is too great. Be happy with your life and be grateful and appreciative of the incredible life that you have. And then go out and go, I want more. I deserve more. I'm going to build more. Do that. Choose that life. Do that now. So if you're ready for that, if you're ready to step the fuck up and actually see incredible results, to step into being the most disciplined version of yourself and transform your body at the same fucking time, to build confidence and grit and determination, shoot me a message. Let's get you into Chasing Greatness Daily. Let's start with that 6 weeks. Let's start with that initial program for 6 weeks while being aware that we are planning to make a change for the long term. Start there. Let's get you into it. Let's begin that process. Now, as always, if you're not quite there yet, click the link in my bio, grab my top 10 tools to transform your mental toughness. And lastly, if this spoke to you, if you enjoyed it, if you know someone who needs to hear this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. But most importantly, please subscribe, because I'm here every single day, sharing from the front, sharing from my experiences. Like I do everything daily that matters to me. This matters to me, so I'm here every single day. And show me that this matters to you too by hitting that subscribe button, letting me know that you want to be a part of this, that you want to see every progression as we go through, because I'm here every single day sharing for you so that we can together chase our greatness. And I'll be back again tomorrow. Until then.